What's up, metalheads? Welcome back to the Scrap Metal Podcast, the show for the misfits who've been listening to the same music since high school. I'm your host, John Von Frankenstein, and joining me today is my metal thrashing mad co-host, Chris. Chris, I gotta ask you, man, how you feeling?
I gotta say, I'm feeling totally stoked, bro.
Totally stoked! Oh my goodness. Hey, don't tax my gig so hardcore, Cruster! Chris, does this feeling of being totally stoked in the 90s fashion have anything to do with the 90s or how you're keeping your heavy metal street cred?
You know, in a roundabout way, I think it just might have something to do with some of my heavy metal street cred.
Nice.
As we've mentioned on this podcast, like so many other millennials, my music taste was formed by the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater video games.
Yes, correct.
And as those games began to dip in quality, I became a fan of the skate video games. You know, they were there to fill the skateboarding video game sized hole in my heart. Unfortunately, for the past 15 years, all I've had is Skate 3 to play. And while it's been fun, I've been eagerly awaiting a new Skate game. And one was eventually announced, and they had a release date. And I was looking forward to playing this game.
Okay.
And then it came out. And the skating is a lot of fun. And the traversal and the parkour that some other people don't like, I'm really enjoying. Everything else about the game could be better. And, you know, this isn't a video game review, so if you want to hear criticisms about the art style and the map and the microtransactions and the lack of any pro skaters and the lack of any skate brands and the minimal amount of cosmetics, you can hear that somewhere else. But the soundtrack is also kind of disappointing. But...
I thought you were going to be like, that's the saving grace.
But of the handful of songs that are good, I discovered a band called Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers.
Okay.
This is a band made up of 4 women from Australia that play like a indie rock, garage rock type of sound. And I've been listening to their album. I think it came out in 2023. I Love You. The title track is great. The opening track, I Used to Be Fun. Songs like Treat Me Better, Salt are all really good. And then the song that's in the new Skate game, is also a great song. That's literally the name of the song. A-H-H-H-H exclamation point. All caps.
Real monsters.
But yeah, it's like I said, they're one of the few bands that, you know, is in the game that like I really enjoyed and was something new to discover. And so I just felt like in classic scrap metal podcast fashion, I am discovering bands from video games. And it's all female indie rock, which are 2 things I've been talking about since episode 1. So yeah, there's my scrap metal street cred, is listening to Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers, who I discovered from a skateboarding video game where the only good thing is the skateboarding.
I love that we established our brand in episode 1 and have not deviated or talked about any different bands since episode 1. Oh man, that sounds awesome. I'm sorry that you were disappointed by it somewhat, but at least it's got to scratch at least a little bit of that itch, right?
It does, because like I said, the skating is fun and it's new places to skate. Yeah. Because it's a new map. Just because the map is disappointing, there's still new stuff. I mostly spend my time in this one spot in a church that has been renovated to be a skate park. And so there's a cool fun box in the middle with 2 ledges and a rail, and then there's quarter pipes on either side. So I can just go up one quarter pipe, grind the fun box, up the other quarter pipe, come back, grind the fun box in the opposite direction. Same thing, back and forth, over and over and over and over again. I see that look you're giving me, and I am
grinding the fun box.
Hell yeah, bro!
That's like all 12-year-old John did. Oh boy, that sounds awesome. Chris, you mentioning new places to skate got me thinking about how many heavy metal songs have the names of places in them. And if we were to sort of compile a map of all these different places, one wonders how you would get around this, right? And of course, we wouldn't be using modern appliances or modern means like Google Maps or an iPhone or a Samsung tablet. What are the ones that fold? I don't know. We'd be using MapQuest because we're millennials and we like to do things that are like super retro, right? And a little quirky. So this episode is called Heavy Metal MapQuest, where we're going to take you guys through a voyage around all the different places that get name dropped in heavy metal songs. Chris, is the tank full? I used this intro already. Are you ready to do Heavy Metal MapQuest?
I'm so excited to do a heavy metal map quest. I asked Jeeves how to get places, and this was the idea we came up with. You know, like you said, there's so many songs out there that name locations. I was listening to one of these songs when I was inspired to pitch this idea, and the totally up-to-date name of heavy metal map quest, but you know, I like alliteration, so yeah, let's do it. Let's look at all these different locations from songs. You know, like you're saying, there's so many songs, and it's fun to just like be like, all right, let's see how many places on a map we can just attribute to a song and say, okay, this band and this song is this location. And funnily enough, certain locations come up way more in song names that I'll get into because I had to limit myself when I was like, oh, here's a bunch of songs. I could make a whole list of just songs about New York City. So let's not do that.
Very true.
Let's try and pick different songs. But yes, I'm so excited to take a look at this heavy metal map quest.
Awesome. Why don't you start us off? Why don't you give us the first pin that we're dropping in our heavy metal map quest? And at the end of the episode, we should actually calculate how many miles we went around.
So, like I said, way too many songs about New York City. And the first song that came to mind and inspired this idea is actually the They Might Be Giants song, New York City, which is actually a cover originally by this band that I think it's an all-female band called Cub. And from what I remember, the story goes that John Flansburgh was listening to the radio and heard the song. And much like everything else from the 90s we're talking about, he had to call up the radio station and be like, hey, what was that song you guys played about New York City? And he's like trying to recite the lyrics that he remembers to the DJ to figure out which song it was. And I think I remember hearing that he had to call multiple times until he finally found the right song. But yeah, this is a fun song that has a lot of fun lyrics. I know one of the ones I remember is that the original, I think, says the Empire State where King Kong lived. And then when They Might Be Giants recorded it, he said the Empire State where Dylan lived. Okay. But then live, he says King Kong again. So I don't know what the point was of changing the lyrics when they recorded it. But yeah, this was just the first song that I thought of. And I was like, hey, I love that this song is about New York City. You know, it's two guys from New York City. You know, they're from Brooklyn, I believe. I think I've said they're from Queens in the past. They're actually from Brooklyn. But yeah, I just thought this was an obvious place to start because they talk about so many different locations within New York City. They're from New York, and the song is almost about like falling in love with someone while falling in love with the city. And so I just thought that was, you know, a really cool place to start. It's clearly not a metal song, but it was where I got the idea. So I figured the first song I'd want to talk about is They Might Be Giants and their cover of New York City, which, thinking about it, John Flansburgh calling up the radio station reminds me of that clip of the guy. I know that the clip is in Spanish, so I've only ever seen it like translated. The guy, are they Reeboks or are they Nike? And it turns out it's the Rhythm of the Night. I fucking love that clip.
Esos son Reebok, son Nike. That's one of my favorite clips ever.
Thinking about having to call a radio station to find out the name of the song, that's the clip that comes to mind.
Oh my God, that's perfect. I love that. Didn't I say that we talk about the same like 5 bands? I love that, though. Again, establishing our brand, sticking to it. We don't want to alienate our audience. And so my first pin that we're going to be dropping. So how long does it take us to get from New York to Wisconsin? That's Wisconsin Death Trip by Static X, a song that they wrote seemingly about nothing when you listen to the lyrics, but it was the title track of their debut album, which the title itself was inspired by the fact that they all grew up kind of near where Ed Gein had lived. And so that's just like a cool little story there. That was the first song that I thought of when I was thinking of like, all right, heavy metal MapQuest. We're going to go with something. And it's just easily the first one that I thought of, Wisconsin Death Trip. It's a super fun song. Like I said, it seemingly is not about anything. What's wrong? Don't you ring dong ding dong, push it on the phony, hook it up and ride away. What? Those are the lyrics to the song. So it can be fairly confusing when you're listening to it, especially I think like in the second verse, he just starts to mumble pretty much. And, or no, that might be On With Stupid. But anyways, Static X lyrics are always fun to listen to, and then trying to decipher if there's some meaning, especially on the earlier stuff. Yeah. There was a lot of the kind of nonsense garbling metal just spewing out of Wayne Static's mouth in the earlier days. As they got along, they became a little bit better as songwriters. But yeah, this is just a super fun song. It starts out with a really cool guitar part. It's just like these like deadened notes, chun, 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 while they've got like their signature kind of evil disco beat going on in the background, and then it kicks into the song. Super, super fun. Totally exemplifies what Static X is, who they are as a band. And it took us all the way from New York to Wisconsin. Is that really far? I don't know. I don't know what the map of the United States looks like. Have you ever seen those memes where it's like, I asked my foreigner friend to draw in where he thinks all the states are? My buddy Pete did that with me and a couple of the other guys at work once. It was embarrassing, dude. I am so bad. New York, New Jersey, Florida, cool. California, Seattle, I managed to get. I don't know. Ohio? I don't know. I put it somewhere over there.
This reminds me of something that happened at work that we still occasionally bring up, but it was so stupid.
I mean, listen to the story I just told.
Because it was almost the same type of story. So at work, we have a TV in the office, and we were watching Shark Tank. And one of the people pitching on Shark Tank was pitching a company that would sell T-shirts that have like states, like the silhouette of states on shirts. And so it would be like about like a hometown or whatever. And the example they showed was like Texas.
Okay.
And
Texas, I know where that one is.
Yeah. And I remember this one guy at work was like, oh, but like no one is going to know like what their state looks like. And I'm like, are you telling me you don't know what the state of New York looks like? One of the more unique shaped states? And he's like, oh, would you be able to draw like New Jersey? And I'm like, that's not the question I'm asking.
Yeah.
But that's what the argument became.
Yeah.
And then we go around asking everyone in the print room, can you draw the state of New Jersey? And it was just so dumb. And this is also someone who I give a hard time about. He comes from Brooklyn, and like anyone from Queens or Brooklyn, they're not from Long Island. Yeah. But the minute you remind them that, no, Queens and Brooklyn are on Long Island.
Don't you finish that sentence.
He got so he looked at me like it was the first time I ever said that. Because my thing is always, what bridge and body of water are you crossing to get from Brooklyn to Suffolk County? There isn't one. You're on Long Island. And he would get so mad at me about that. And every once in a while, the thing about drawing New Jersey comes up. And it was just so stupid because
I'm going to try that at work this week.
You had like 30 people, like 30 different drawings of New Jersey on a sheet of paper.
And they're all wrong.
And nothing is even close. You know, it's like, I think mine looked like a circus peanut Because it's like, I know what New Jersey looks like if you show it to me. That doesn't mean I have a photographic memory and can draw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about quizzing people on the locations of states, which are always fun to see. But yeah, that was that's fun. That's fun.
Chris, why don't you give us your next choice for our stop along our way on this heavy metal MapQuest?
So I'm taking us all the way to the West Coast with the band X and their song Los Angeles.
Okay.
X is a classic punk band. This is a classic punk song. And this is the title track off of their album Los Angeles. And I believe I discovered this song from a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game, much like so many other songs. I think this was in Tony Hawk's American Wasteland because that takes place in Los Angeles. So it made sense to have Los Angeles. But what's funny is that in typical Tony Hawk fashion, they picked a song that has a bunch of offensive stuff in it. So, like, going back to the first game, they had Police Truck, which has lines about cops raping prostitutes, and it's like, and then they censor all of the lyrics. And this is a song that similarly is about someone hating everything and everyone in Los Angeles. And there's lines about hating Mexicans and Jews and homosexuals and the idle rich. But they also drop the N-word in this song with a hard R. And when you listen to the song on streaming now, they censor it, which kind of bothers me.
Okay.
Because you have other songs like Dead Kennedy's Holiday in Cambodia, where he says it and they don't censor it on streaming. Anthrax song, Keep It in the Family, which is about, racism. They drop the N-word and they don't censor it. Now, when Anthrax performs, they change the lyrics to say something like blacks are targets or something like that. But I understand why someone would want to censor that, because in 1980... it was still a terrible thing to say, but I think nowadays people are a lot more conscious of kind of using that word in any situation. But as a creative and as someone who doesn't like censorship of any type of art, I'm like, that's the way it was, man. Like, you're making a point. It's not like they're using the word to belittle someone. They're saying that we're singing about someone who would use this word. And from the way we're singing about this person, we're letting you know that this person is not a good person. This person is a piece of
context.
Shit. And it's the three songs I talked about. It's the same thing. They're using the word in a way to say, hey, the people that would use this are a piece of shit, and that's why we're saying it. So, like, I get why they would censor it, but I'm also kind of like, you call yourself a punk rock band and I listen to this album on Spotify and you're censoring yourself? Like, whatever, man. But yeah, it's like I'm saying, they're censoring it now, and I can guarantee every single line in this section of the song where they're singing about all these people that this woman hates in the song was probably censored in the Tony Hawk video game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like
it's a 45-second instrumental break.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Exactly, But yeah, I wanted to make sure I talked about at least one of the many songs that talked about Los Angeles. And this felt like a good one because, like I said, there was some interesting things to talk about in terms of the censorship of the lyrics now. And I've even seen people online say like, hey, you should check out this band. By the way, they use the N-word in this song, but not in a bad way, but in they're trying to make a point by singing it in this way. So I think in that way, it's an important song to listen to. And like I said, just like New York City, tons of songs about Los Angeles and Hollywood. And I felt like this was a song in a band that I've never talked about before on this show. So why not? Let's talk about the band X and their song, Los Angeles.
There we go. See, like, I understand what you mean in regards to the art trying to make a point, and the context within it is why the word is used.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when you think about, the F slur being dropped in Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler singing about Prince and using that derogatory term to talk about his new jet airplane and call him a millionaire and all that stuff. It's like, it's shocking when it comes on, because it's like this is being played at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday on Q104. You know what I mean? And it's like boomer dad driving around being like, yeah, this is my song. But there are people that get called out for it when it's used where it's like it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't really seem to be making a point. I know that Momentum has a song called, I believe it's called Relapse, and the singer uses the N-word with the A at the end. And everybody was like, that's a white boy. Like, why is he using this? And it's like to accentuate a part, but he's not necessarily making a point. He was like, instead of being like, bitch, like you could have gone there. You could have used that. That's a point where like I understand the flack that everyone has given them about that song. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I don't know anything about the singer himself, but I know a lot of people have kind of talked shit online about him. But I mean, that sort of thing happens more and more nowadays, and I think people will more readily call that sort of behavior out as opposed to being like, oh, right, okay, like you said, this is within a song trying to make a point about that type of behavior, and they're not supporting it. A place where you'll never hear this word said, probably, hopefully, I don't know, I've never been there. Olympia, Washington by the band Rancid. I love this song, specifically because there are no N-bombs dropped, and the intro to the song sounds like the Lowe's theme. You know what I mean? So anytime I hear it as it's about to go into the first verse, I'm cracking up because I'm like, it's fucking Lowe's. It's the place with the helpful hardware, folks. That's literally all I have to say about this song. No, I love this song. I love this song so much. Out Come the Wolves is like one of my favorite albums. It's so good. It's that we talked about it on like was it the Punk Rock Big Four, or maybe it was the Tony Hawk video game songs episode that we did, where I talked about how fun Rancid feels. Like it feels like Totino's, right? And this is definitely one of those songs that has like a really cool message. These lyrics are a little bit more intelligible and seemingly meaningful than Wisconsin Death Trip's lyrics. But I just have always loved the lyricism, the song structure itself. Rancid is one of those bands where it seems like they maybe write a lot of the songs on an acoustic, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then kind of go like, these are the chords, this is the song structure I want, now let's punkify it. You know what I mean? And so that's why I like this song so much, because it feels like it was something that had started out on an acoustic, similar to Social Distortion is kind of the same way, where every one of their songs, you can easily see that being translated to an acoustic, where it would just be like Mike Ness and an acoustic guitar blowing through a bunch of their songs. You know what I mean? It just has that sort of feel to it. And I think those are the best songs that can easily translate to an unplugged version. So, okay, now we've hit New York, Wisconsin, California, Washington State, though. Yes. Not DC, not the District of Columbia. We got to we should figure out exactly how far all of these places are. Chris, what's the next stop on our trip?
So I'm bringing us back to the East Coast to talk about one of my favorite songs about the apocalypse, Miami 2017 by Billy Joel.
Okay.
Nice. I absolutely love this song. I know I only ever listened to a live version that's off of, I want to say Songs in the Attic. I don't know what album this song is originally off of. I only ever listened to that version. But I love how it's about the apocalypse. It's about New York City falling into the ocean. And, I love the line, they said that Queens could stay and blew the Bronx away, you know? Yeah. And it's just, it's a good song. I love Billy Joel. I'm legally obligated to love Billy Joel. As someone living on Long Island, it's right there in the rules. You got to love Billy Joel. And I also love that it's Miami 2017, so it's much like one of my other favorite post-apocalyptic movies, Escape from New York. The future apocalypse is now in the past because Escape from New York takes place in 1997, and this is about 2017. So I love that aspect of any post-apocalyptic, media. But I also love that he's talking about, before we all moved here to Florida, which that's what New Yorkers do. They get old and they move to Florida. And, it's a good song. It's a good song with a city right in the title. So I was like, how can I miss an opportunity to talk about a Billy Joel song? Especially since originally I was going to talk about Vienna, but I thought Miami 2017 was much more interesting to talk about. Because like I said, I get to say that it's my favorite song about the apocalypse. So that's really all I had to say about it. It's Billy Joel, Miami 2017. I love it.
I love listening to that live version and hearing all the different people cheer. Like when he mentions Florida and you hear a bunch of people cheering. He mentions Mexico. And you hear a bunch of people cheering. Yeah. I've always loved that. And the synth intro to that is so cool. You know what I mean? It sounds like a Yes song or something like that. Yeah. It's not something that you would expect from Billy Joel to have this big like prog style intro. And the song itself is pretty fucking pretty rockin'. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely dad rock, but rock nonetheless. You know what I mean? Yeah, because it's, like I said, the song Vienna, it's just him on the piano. And he's got plenty of songs that are like that. And there are plenty of songs that I like by him that are like, it's rock, but it's not, you're not going to headbang to it. Whereas this you can dance to, it's a fun song and it's got a good groove to it. And like you're saying, it's one of his songs that feels more like a rock song. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So now we're heading from the East Coast, right? We mentioned Queens. We mentioned Florida. So we'll have to figure out the math on how we want to take care of that song. But now we're heading to Texas for the Mountain of Corsicana. And that is the song by Kublai Khan. It's a newer single of theirs that came out, which was actually dedicated to Matt Honeycutt, their singer's grandfather, uncle, adopted father. He mentions all three of those titles in the interviews that I've watched about the subject matter of the song. So Matt was it's a first name basis. He was pretty public about what he had been going through with his adopted father, kind of like his battle with cancer and having to leave right in the middle of a Japanese tour to be able to come back to the States, and him kind of making that decision like, I have to be there. And when you hear him talk about his grandfather, this figure in his life, you understand why he is the type of person that he is. He seems like a very old school, I only just recently got an iPhone. Yeah, I love older movies. Yeah, I'm very basic, raised in Texas sort of guy. And when you're being raised by someone who is themselves so old school and that much older as well, it's easy to understand how that gets kind of passed on. So I love this song. When it came, I was very excited when it came out because I had heard about him talk about the song and its meaning on the Downbeat podcast with Craig Reynolds. And he talked about, this whole experience, having lost him, watching him, this person who always had so much pride and was proud up until the very end, kind of just letting themselves go pretty much and just facing that fate with grace. So, and now live when they play it, he talks about I feel like I've got this one person looking out for me. I hope that all of us have that one person looking out for them or for you guys. And there's a line in the song where it really speaks to the impact that this type of person in everyone's life can have on you, where he talks about, I can only hope to be half the man that you were. Oh, wow. And it's so powerful. He talked about how his grandfather was from Corsicana in Texas, and how he himself was the mountain. So he was this little 5 foot something guy, probably 100 pounds soaking wet, but he was the mountain. And now, having been buried there where his family's from, he has become the mountain once again because the impact that he had in his life was so monumental that he's larger than life now, having passed on. So I love this song. It goes so fucking hard. I got to see them play it live. Oh my God, that was a sold out show. They got to play it live. I think Matt missed like one of the lines in the song, and he like commented on it afterwards. He's like, yeah, not me missing the most important part of the song. But yeah, it's a really good song. It's got a really great bounce to it. And like I said, the subject matter itself is just so powerful. And I love a song that can feel so relatable. You know, to anyone. We've all had that person in our lives that means so much to us that when they go, they become this larger than life figure in our minds. So yeah, that's The Mountain of Corsicana by Kublai Khan. Chris, what's our next stop on this MapQuest journey? I'm liking this. I should have actually brought out a real like pen and paper map and started drawing like it's the Goofy movie. We're going to go to the Powerline concert now and figure out our way there. What's your next song?
So the next song I want to talk about actually takes us international, takes us, around the world.
Nice, all right.
That is the song by the Bouncing Souls, Letter from Iraq. This is off of their 2006 album, The Gold Record, where we were in the middle of the war on terror and
why? What happened? How did we get there?
I don't know, man. That was 20 years ago.
Was Bubba there?
No, but as Al Jorgensen said, there was a what did he say? There was a Colin, Dick, and Bush just hammering away.
Yeah.
But yeah, this song, this is a great album anyway, but this song is a really good song. And, you know, it's, as the title implies, Letter from Iraq. It's about knowing people and losing people that were fighting, you know, in the Middle East. And it has, you know, it talks a lot about the things that are going on, you know, in Iraq, and even from like the Iraqi citizens' point of view a little bit. But then, you know, at the end, there's a part in the middle where he says, "They say the whole thing's fucked. I wish the boys were back. At least I know he's still alive. Another letter from Iraq." And then it slows down and you realize he didn't make it. And that, you know, it's a song about like attending a funeral and like, you know, his mom and his girlfriend being upset and, you know, all that's left is a pair of bloody boots and all this and that. And it's a really good song. It's a pretty fast-paced song for most of it. You know, at this point, the Bouncing Souls had slowed down a little bit, but they still every once in a while hit you with the punk rock that they've always played. And that in a way that feels very classic punk rock, you know, writing a song about how terrible war is and, you know, talking about this war that a lot of people feel was pointless and was a waste and we should have never invaded and all this stuff. So it feels very punk rock, and it's also very poignant and sad and, you know, calling out the people that, you know, sent our sons over there and just in a way being sad and in a way celebrating the people that we did lose. And so it's you can't really MapQuest your way there, but it was definitely a song that I wanted to make sure I talk about. Bouncing Souls, another band, you know, I had like 4 or 5 different Bouncing Souls songs because they have a song called East Coast Fuck You. And then I was even thinking they have a song called Quick Check Girl. And I was like, oh, well, Quick Check is a location.
That's a pit stop on a MapQuest.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a really sad song for a different reason. But I felt like this was a little bit different because, like I said, it's not a location in the United States, and it just has, you know, a pretty strong message. And I as, you know, I kind of sort of the point I made with X and their song Los Angeles, I like a punk rock song that has a point and makes a message. And so that's why I knew I wanted to talk about the Bouncing Souls and their song Letter from Iraq.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that we're overseas now because it actually makes our next trip a little bit easier. But I do want to talk about, like you said, the point of it being very punk rock when you're kind of speaking out against war, but at the same time remembering and acknowledging the people who are lost, the people who are actually fighting the war. And I don't know. I think I've said it before in the podcast, like being a child of 9/11 is one of those things where it's like we saw this great unity, you know, especially in our city. Yeah. But at the same time, it was a terrible time for so many people. Yeah. Because there was now, you know, this target painted on their backs. Yep. Where if you looked a little different, now suddenly you're being scapegoated, you know, and just like the prejudice that went on at that time too. So it is always a double-edged sword. Yeah. So it's interesting when you have a song that really speaks to that. Yeah.
I mean, on 9/11, one of my best friends was named Osama. Like, we started calling him Oz after that, you know? It's another one of my friends was off the boat from Saudi Arabia. So, yes, there were people that, while some of us got to unite, other people were not so lucky to feel like they were part of a community in that way. Yeah. So it was definitely interesting times throughout middle school and high school for us.
Oh yeah, for sure. But thankfully we have the lovely country of Finland, who knows nothing but peace, universal health care, and a murder at a lake. The next song is Bodom Beach Terror by Children of Bodom. I love this song. I love this song so much. The drum intro alone is so good. And the drum intro was actually, I believe it was a hidden track. So like going into it, it was the little drum solo and then it kicked into the song proper, but it was like a 4-second reverse countdown. You know what I mean? Like a 4-second countdown on your CD player. Yeah. But it's just like, it's such a cool drum beat. You know what I mean? Like, and then he goes into a big fill, and then into the song proper, and like goes off and running. And between that and the keyboard solo that you've got in the song, the keyboard solo that takes the song out, I've always loved that too. I have always loved Janne Warman's keyboard sound. It sounds like very basic, but he throws like some distortion on there. And it's just, it's one of those characteristics of Bodom's music that makes it instantly recognizable. So much so that now when you listen to a lot of the solo stuff that Janne's put out, you're like, oh, this is just Children of Bodom. You know what I mean? Like without Alexi, it's a different vocalist. Yeah. But it's one of those things that you can so easily latch onto. And Alexi's voice was just so unique and like piercing and shrill, but it just fit the message of the song, kind of talking about being the teenagers who go to this lake and suddenly, you know, you're running from this maniac who's just hacking all your friends to bits. Yeah. I've always loved this fucking song. It's so good. It's so good. Tell me that we're going to stay overseas for your next pick, or are we coming back home?
Oh, no, we're still over in Europe, a little bit further south. But the next song I want to talk about is Exhorder and the song Slaughter in the Vatican. Okay. This is the title track off of this album, closes out the album, and I fucking love Exhorder. You know, it's such a unique sound of thrash metal that someone else stole, and I'll never stop making that joke.
Wonder who. Again, established our brand early on, and we've stuck to it.
But yeah, Exhorder, the song is so good, and it's like the thrash metal and the music itself is so good, but then you add on top of that it's calling out the hypocrisy of the Catholic Church. Who doesn't love that? You know, there's something in there about like, you know, if the Pope is supposed to do this, then why doesn't he follow the rules or some shit like that? And it's just got this very much like, you know, the album cover is men in suits dragging the Pope to a gallows. So like, that's basically the idea behind the song is like the church is fucked up, so let's just kill the guy in charge. Yeah. And, which is apparently a popular idea because even Nuclear Assault has the song Hang the Pope. So it's a popular idea, or at least it was in the 80s and early 90s when Exhorder released this album. But yeah, this song is just so fucking good. It's, like I said, it's such a great thrash metal song, and in classic thrash metal fashion, it has a clean guitar outro, which is super cool. And then over the clean guitar is the sounds of a crying baby. And I'm like, this is kind of off-putting, which makes me like it more.
Okay.
And it's just so weird. Oh, and then also the intro to the song is like one of the things that they do in like a Catholic mass, where it's like through him, with him, in unity of the Holy Spirit, like that whole shit that they do. Yeah. And they do that at the beginning and then go into this fucking heavy thrash metal riff. And yeah, the song is good. The whole album is good, but in particular, the song Slaughter in the Vatican. This and Desecrator, between these two songs, they talk so much shit about the Catholic Church. I fucking love it. So yeah, it's on our European road trip. We've hit the Vatican as we witness Exhorder cause a slaughter in the Vatican.
Sir, another slaughter has hit the Vatican. We're offending everybody this episode. Catholics, people of color, people in the Middle East. Yeah, we're checking all our boxes.
Yep.
All right. So unfortunately, I've enjoyed our time overseas, but I got to bring us back home. And it's a short stop. It's a short song. So we won't be staying long. So if we do have to go back, it's okay. We're taking a little bit of a detour to Baltimore, specifically Baltimore City, for Baltimore City Hate Crew, BCHC by End It. I got to see End It recently playing a fucking roller rink. Like, I thought Lil Bow Wow was about to come out and start roll bouncing. This was awesome. It was so good. It was such a good show. Show started at like 11 o'clock at night, I guess, because they had to wait for the rink to be closed out.
Yeah.
But it was MS Paint, who was not really my thing. Check him out. Kind of like an indie artsy sort of band. End It, who I was so excited to see, and Speed from Sydney, Australia. They were just so phenomenal. I got to jump up on stage at the end of the show, got to meet the singer of Speed. But End It put on a phenomenal show, and I'm pretty sure that they started off their set with this song, BCHC. And they kind of like, they come in and talk about like, BCHC, all right, Baltimore City Hate Crew, blah, blah, blah. Use your 24 to mind your business and stay out of mine. I'm like, this is so fucking good. And then it just goes from there. And it just like I said, the song is short and sweet. So it's a really nice little pit stop for us on this MapQuest voyage. But yeah, End It is just so good. They are so high energy. I think between them, Speed, and Drain, you just have a lot of these bands, like these hardcore bands coming out now, who make going to their shows a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To the point where like Drain on their newest album, Is Your Friend, have a song called, I think it's called Having Fun, or I Feel Like I'm the Only One. It's something along those lines, the title of the song, but basically being like, sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who's actually having fun. You guys are taking all of this way too seriously. Let's just have fun up here. But definitely check out End It. All right. Did I throw us off course? Have I added extra miles to the rental? Where are we going from here, Chris? What's our next stop?
So the next location we're going to is actually fictional.
Okay.
Because GWAR is taking us to Metal Land.
Okay.
This is off of their album Lust in Space, and I fucking love this song. This song is so good. And when we were coming up with this idea, I was like, fictional locations have to count, right?
Okay.
It's still a place that GWAR visited in the GWAR canon.
Yes.
And yes, Metal Land is about a planet where everything is metal, and not like made of metal, but like heavy metal. And there's so many funny lines in this song. There's a line like, all the chicks are strippers, all their fathers proud. Like, I love that. There's this, there's a line, here in Metal Land, everything is hard, except, of course, the test you take to get a license for your car. And then one of my other favorites, Odorous does this cool like stutter thing where he says, bullet belts and denim jackets, crystal meth in tiny packets. And I just love that it's about all like the stereotypical like 1980s heavy metal, you know, strippers, groupies, drugs. Like, I love how ridiculous the song is. I think one of the first lines is, the only way to get there is by stolen car. So like, I just love how absolutely ridiculous the song is. You know, it's GWAR. Of course it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's got such a cool feel to it because it sounds like a really good like speed metal song. And they're talking about all these things that you would expect to experience in heavy metal or speed metal or thrash metal. And it's so good. And like on multiple occasions, Odorous Arungus gives us a before a guitar solo. He does it like 3 times in the song. The song's only 2.5 minutes long, and they fit every fucking cliche and trope you expect in a heavy metal song into this song. I absolutely love it. So yeah, talking about MapQuest, yeah, I think Ask Jeeves could get us to Metal Land. He'd point us in the right direction. So yeah, check out GWAR and Off of Lust in Space, Metal Land.
It just sounds like New Jersey. So let's go with that.
That's what it is. It's actually a crack-induced coma, and you wake up in New Jersey.
But it's the New Jersey drawn by one of your coworkers.
Is it New Jersey or a poorly drawn circus peanut? We'll never know.
Yeah. Oh, boy. All right. So my next pick is Dave Goes to Hollywood by the Black Dahlia Murder. This is off of their Miasma album. Probably my favorite album of theirs. It's just a really good song. I have literally nothing else to say about it except I was like, what's another one? Maybe I can hit Hollywood in here somehow. I know we visited already. But sometimes you got to double back because maybe I left my cell phone. Maybe I left my hat or something like that. So that's why we're doubling back. It's a great song. Awesome riffs as the Black Dahlia Murder is wont to do, and crazy lyrics as always. So it's a fun song. Check it out. Chris, what's your next choice?
So one more quick stop I want to make is coming back to the East Coast, and that is Dropkick Murphys Shipping Up to Boston.
Okay.
AKA that song from The Departed.
Yeah.
Because that's all anyone fucking knows about the song. And like, that's the best part of the song is the part in The Departed. Like the chorus, I'm not really a fan of, but the part with the fucking, what's it, like the accordion or some bagpipes or something? They've got so many songs with accordion and bagpipes. I love Dropkick Murphys, but yeah, this particular song, I seem to remember talking to someone about Dropkick Murphys, and someone was like, yeah, the only song I know is that song that's used in the opening credits of The Departed. And someone else saying, wow, that's a really long title for a song. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's, you might as well.
Fall Out Boy?
Yeah.
What's up with this?
But it's, shipping up to Boston, like I said.
No, you're right. That is the hardest part of the song. That's the
best part of the song.
Once it gets into, I'm a sailor pig and I lost my leg, I'm like, okay.
That part I still like. It's just they get into the chorus where they actually say shipping up to Boston.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, do the accordion thing again.
Yeah. So you mean that this other person you were talking to was sort of like me when I was like, yeah, the only song that I know about the Dropkick Murphys is Drunken Lullabies.
Pretty much.
Oh boy.
Just like that. Throwing us back once again to right? Was that
We're
our
feeling nostalgic, Chris. We're nearing our 100th episode.
I know.
That's what it is.
I think that is what it is. We're just looking back with fondness on all the stupid ass shit we've said for 100 episodes.
Chris, we have traveled by automobile. We've gone on a plane. I think we took a ship at some point. We got stuck in the Suez Canal. This has been a really fun episode. I'm so happy that we got to go back and ask Jeeves how we use MapQuest to take this whole entire little voyage that we've taken. Give us your last and final song, your suggestion for this week.
So my suggestion this week takes us to the land of Breaking Bad. And I'm, of course, talking about the song Albuquerque by Weird Al.
Okay.
This song is off of his 1999 album, Running with Scissors, and is an 11-minute epic that talks about his life growing up, being force-fed sauerkraut, winning a trip to Albuquerque, surviving a plane crash because he had his tray table up and his seat back in the full upright position, makes it to the hotel where his snorkel is stolen, goes and tries to buy donuts, but they're out of all the different donuts, ends up with a box of weasels who start chewing on his face. He meets the love of his life. They break up when she tries to sign them up for the Columbia Record Club, which is an old-fashioned thing to talk about. I remember when my family growing up, having the Columbia record catalog, and then I think we also had, because my dad worked for them, BMG, who distributed books and CDs. But yeah, then he discovered his lifelong dream of being a manager at the Sizzler. And this song is just so absurd. This was one of the first songs I was introduced to from Weird Al, and I have a memory of having all 11 minutes memorized, and me and my brother singing it without listening to it, just singing it while hanging out in the pool in the backyard. And my mom sitting there and being like, what the fuck are you two singing about?
Yeah.
And we're like, that snorkel's been just like a snorkel to me. And, the sound effects when the weasels are chewing his face. And, there's a thing about like cutting someone's arms and legs off with a chainsaw, and it's just so classic Weird Al and complete nonsense. And I suggest everyone take 11 minutes of their day to listen to Weird Al and his epic Albuquerque.
I love how Weird Al, They Might Be Giants, and Exhorder all made it into this episode. Again, sticking to our guns, sticking to what we know.
That's what I do. It's, we're going to talk about heavy metal. How many not metal bands can I talk about?
So I should have taken a lesson from Bugs Bunny and made a left at Albuquerque, because somehow we wound up back in New York, probably because my mom called me because she wanted to know why I was out so late. And that's with the song New York Minute by the band Missing Link. I thought it'd be funny for us to head back exactly where we took off from. I loved that you started us off with New York, and I figured that we would finish off with New York as well. Missing Link is a great band. They're from New York, Long Island, maybe. It's kind of like ambiguous, but they have been blowing up, and this song has like one of the best sing-along moments where towards the end of the verse or the chorus, they sing, there's someone peeking in my window. And just you hear the whole crowd do it. It's so good. The singer talked about writing that lyric and kind of like what the song was about. And I'm pretty sure he said that he was just feeling really paranoid, thinking there was someone in his house or someone peeking through his window, and it turned out to just be his reflection in the glass.
Oh, boy.
So you gotta love stuff like that. Something that comes along with a great story. I'm glad that we were able to make it back home as well, because I've got work in the morning, so it would have been real bad if we actually went to Carpathia, which is where I was thinking of going. Glad we stuck local. Check out Missing Link and their song New York Minute.
When you said New York Minute, for a second, I thought you were going to talk about Don Henley.
Threw you for a loop there. I forgot about that song, actually. Do I like that song? I don't know if I like that song. How does it go? Wait, no. In a New York minute. Right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I don't like that song.
Yeah, like I like that. I love Heart of the Matter. I play that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
That's a good song. I do like Don Henley. I just don't like that song.
Yeah.
What's the other one? There's a hole in the world tonight. Don't like that song. Chris, we have to get this rental back to the place that I'm thinking of. Chris, we have to get this rental back to Mavis. Let's head out. Thanks for tuning into the Scrap Metal Podcast. The time has come for us to pack up our gear, but we'll be back to rock out with you in the next episode.
Stay metal, everyone.
Good night.